Yep.
Yeah, it's 6:30, right? Okay, so we will call the school committee meeting to order. It is Monday, December 3rd, 6:30 exactly, so welcome everybody. Emery's not here, so I'm going to be running the show, so bear with me. So we'll do the consent agenda first, and we have minutes for October 29th and November 19th. Has everybody had the time to had enough time to review them, and any questions? All right, so maybe we'll put a motion. Somebody want to put a motion for the October 29th meetings first?
I'll make the motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 29th, 2018.
I guess I'll second.
Okay, that's probably how it's going to be going tonight. And so no questions. We had a question on the other one. Hold on a second. Yeah, okay, so I'm good on that. So then, make a vote.
All those in favor?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So then we'll move on to the November 19th meeting minutes. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a
Please?
motion.
I'll second.
All right. Anybody have any questions on those meeting minutes?
They looked okay to me.
Okay. So I had a note just about the blizzard bags, putting some language in there about that we're going to have more feedback, surveys, I think, at the end of the year, because I didn't see anything in there, and I just thought it might be, so we had some ongoing narrative that we were going to continue to review and make any changes.
And that's part of the protocol from the state.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we have to do that.
So, does it make sense to have them in the meeting minutes, just so as,
Yep.
you know, continuity? But, so then we'll hold off on voting for those? Or can we just vote as amended, or?
With the addition of.
Okay. So, can I just say, all those in favor of voting the meeting minutes for November 19th as amended? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, so then we have visitors' comments. Do we have any visitors tonight who would like to make any comments? Okay. Moving right along. All right, we're gonna move right along tonight.
Excellent.
I like you here.
Yeah.
Nice.
They have studying to do. So.
Okay, so the student rep report.
Hi.
Hi.
So, a lot of good things coming from the high school this month. Not too much feedback on things that we really want to fix. It's kind of just been a good month with a lot of breaks. So this weekend on Saturday we had our cotillion, and it did go really well. We had a pretty good turnout. Our theme was a night in Venice, so we had like nice little flower centerpieces and a lot of dancing. And I was told everybody I didn't stay that late, but everybody said they kept going pretty much all night. So that's really good. We also on Thursday had our NHS induction, and we have 19 new members and 10 returning. So it's one of the bigger groups for NHS. So finally 29 members. We did just do a fundraiser to try to raise some money for that group. Right now the seniors are all applying to college, so that's what's going around. Lots of visits to the guidance counselors and lots of questions, so that's kind of cool to see where everybody's kind of like reminiscing, getting ready to leave, so it's kind of fun. And winter sports just started, so basketball tryouts, wrestling is coming up. So those are the good things so far coming from this month. The biggest struggle I think for our school right now is our yearbook fundraising. We're having a hard time getting that going. Not a lot of people in our group, not a lot of ads being brought in. So anybody knows anybody, don't forget to help out your yearbook, because that is our biggest struggle. The seniors are working hard to try to get the senior section done, but there's a lot of doubts, so we're trying to hopefully get that going.
So a limited number of ads that have come in.
So we ask for ads and people will put them in the back of the yearbook, and that's kind of how we get the yearbook to like get more pages and kind of construct it. And we haven't got too many. We've gotten like very few. So we're having a hard time. A lot of it is the students having to participate and really get it going. Our school does a pretty good job of like announcing to our student body what's going on, but a lot of times the students don't really know like what the yearbook club is doing, so that's a lot of confusion on both ends that are kind of struggling to make that happen.
So is that out of the ordinary to have this limited number of ads at this time of year?
I'm not really sure. I've never been a part of the yearbook. As far as I know, every year there's always a little bit of struggle with it, but I guess there wasn't a lot of overage of funds from last year that carried over to this year, so we're trying to make up all that on top of it. Usually there's a little carryover, and we didn't have very much this year. So that kind of already set us back.
Tricia, question. When you say ads, are you talking about businesses in the area or
Yeah, so
congratulatory?
there's like both. So like the parents can put their own ads in for the students, but we also don't have a lot of businesses really yet.
Okay.
So we're slowly trickling a few in, but yeah, we've only had a very select few.
Because I know the congratulatory, just the cutoff was Friday.
Yeah.
mean,
I think that they're gonna try to extend it, yeah. That's what I don't really know for 100%. I'm hoping they will, but that's like the word going around is that they're gonna try to extend it for us.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I'm just wondering if you might see more, as the deadline starts getting really
Yeah, I
close.
think the one for the businesses, I think, is continuing to go on a little longer. I'm not quite sure about like the senior ones, but hopefully, I think they were talking
So
about
if
doing
anybody's
it.
listening and would like to put an ad in, please feel
Yeah.
free to do so. I know it's helpful to producing that yearbook.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very expensive. I don't think that the senior class realized how expensive it was when we kind of went into it, so it's a lot. But that's like the only real thing that's kind of been a struggle this year. We've had a pretty good year besides that. Some kids are slowly finding out about like the new Blizzard bag like changes, and the teachers aren't happy about them, but a lot of students are happy, especially like the time limit being added, so.
So what do you mean teachers not so happy?
A lot of teachers don't think it's like adequate, like the time span of what you would do in a 47-minute class. But I know the students are happy because we didn't want to do an hour and a half of work. We're happy to just do a half hour every class, and then after a couple hours you're finally done and you can put it away.
Is that something that's
We're talking
on
ab-
your radar
yeah,
too?
Yes. Yep. It's that balance
Yeah,
between rigor and
right.
expectation and what students can accomplish.
Well,
That's
that-
meaningful and relevant. So what we're working with staff on is the meaningfulness and the relevance of assignments, because we heard that loud and clear from students, that the busyness of the work assigned was a concern. It felt like homework sometimes. So we're working hard during hours of power, during faculty meetings, to have those conversations about really relevance and meaningfulness for students.
Yeah, and I know that means a lot to me personally. I know a couple other kids were like, thank you, like we're so happy about that, so
Yeah.
that's all I got. If you have any questions, I can answer them.
Oh, I wanted to follow up on the coffee discussion we had last time.
It's kind of just, we don't want to talk about it. It kind of just is what it is, and we're just kind of accepting it. So it hasn't really been a big issue lately. We've kind of, the first couple months it was a little rough. There's a lot of complaints, but now it's kind of, we've gone on without it, and we're just going to deal with it, and then,
So what is coming is the focus survey that is on the MCAS. And there are focus groups of students that are going to be giving qualitative data around school culture and climate. So that will be an opportunity for them to talk about how involved are they in decision making, do they feel that they develop strong relationships with staff, and really making recommendations on several points of data that are coming out of that survey. So we're excited about that. That's actually being led by a student, and she will be here to share that once she does the focus groups, and she'll be also interviewing and has a whole host of questions for staff as well. So it's an exciting project for her, and it's part of, I'm going to get this wrong, ESAC. It's what Annabelle was part of at the state
yes.
last
SAC.
year. ESAC, thank you.
SAC.
SAC.
There's also
What does that stand for again, SAC?
Student
I know
Advisory
RSAC is like
Committee, student-
regional.
Advisory.
RSAC and SDAC. Oh, yeah, so Regional Student Advisory Council and then state.
Okay. And what's the timeline for that survey?
It's, so the survey, so I met with Jordan Healy, who is our regional rep. And so she's working on establishing the timeline and the questions for both faculty and students. And so she'll take that data and she said she needs to have that data by January. So at the January and February meetings, they'll be talking about it and then flipping it into ideas for improvement.
So the survey is going to be given to students.
The survey's already done.
Oh, the survey's done.
So we have
Okay, I gotcha.
quantitative data, and
Okay.
the idea is to get students and staff talking about examples of the numbers,
Mhm.
so that we can talk about how to improve the culture and climate in the schools.
And this, I'm assuming, will come to the school committee?
Yes, it
Yeah,
will.
Okay.
Yeah, we're very excited about that.
Oh, I'm excited about
Yeah,
that
it's
too.
to watch a student actually look at data and say, and I hope she doesn't mind, but to actually say, no, I'm not a numbers person, but this is what I want to do with numbers, and actually have raw data and say, these are the questions that we didn't do really well on, or that were below the state average, and how can we think that through and maybe make some improvement. But these are the things that we're really good at.
Yeah, excellent. Any questions, comments, anybody? All set? All right. So I guess we can move on to what you're all here for. So acknowledgement of the Abigail and John Adams recipients for this year.
Yes.
So welcome, everybody.
Welcome. We hope you come back to the next school committee meeting, because having you here is amazing. The John and Abigail scholarship is awarded to students who have scored at least proficient on 3 of the MCAS assessments. And in addition, they must have scored advanced on 1. So there is English language arts, math, and now science. So they score proficient in 2 and advanced in 1, and it can be any combination. As a result of that, these students are awarded a tuition waiver to any state school in Massachusetts. So we're very excited about that opportunity for our students. And as long as they complete their studies in 6 years, and maintain a 3.0, they are awarded that tuition waiver for their entire career for an undergraduate degree. And so without further ado, and lastly, they have to score within the top 25% of the district. So that's the last piece of criteria that they meet. So we are going to be introducing tonight, and very proud to introduce tonight, our award recipients. I am going to announce everyone, even if they're not here, so that the public, as they're watching this riveting experience, we can celebrate all of our students. And then, as I said, I'm going to ask you to stand in front so that we can get a group picture.
This is a big deal.
It is a huge
I hope
deal.
you guys, you're all parents, students, first students, and family members that are here. This is something to really worth letting it soak in and just be proud. This is a really big deal. You guys worked hard to get to this point over the last 4 years, and it means a lot. It means a lot. So, okay.
You're going to stand right there, and I'm going to announce, and I'm going to give you the certificate. I'm going to give a nice, lovely pin, and then we'll stand. Kylie Byron. Congratulations. Jonathan Couture. Lily Demetropoulos. Maya Felian. Dylan Gordon. Danielle Hamill. Congratulations. Brianna Heath. Edric Kusipo. Stone Marcheret. We might have to push down a little bit because we are many people, which is a great thing. Catherine Pitt. Jasmine Rodriguez Jones.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Grace Sinclair. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get these ones right. Joshua White. Michael White is playing basketball.
Missing one.
And Sam White. All right, and how about a round of applause for our... The first of many applauses you will receive as you move forward through graduation. So, congratulations, everybody. So now we can have cookies. Sorry.
Want a picture or no?
Oh, and a picture, yeah.
Yes.
Yes, sorry.
Let's get out of the way.
Yeah, right. Get out. Oh, no, I think that's perfect, actually. Okay, paparazzi. Smile. Smile. There you go. Awesome. Awesome. Everybody got pictures? All right, I'm going to tweet. Hey.
So we are back. We're going to reconvene the school committee meeting. We just had some light refreshments after our Abigail and Adam's recipients little ceremony. So the next order of business is the 2018-2019 revised school calendar.
Yes. So the contract settled after the school committee voted the school calendar for 2018-2019, and there was contractual language that changed the expectation. And so we have to revote the calendar because there is only one evening requirement for the staff in the new contract. That doesn't mean that we won't be doing things throughout the year. It just means that there's not a requirement. And so we will be doing other things throughout the year to encourage family engagement with the schools. So you will notice that we've already had the open house in the fall, and so we had to eliminate the one in the spring, and so that's what we need to vote.
So the calendar that I'm seeing still has open house on April 11th. That's in our folder.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one I'm looking at.
That's the one I'm looking at too. Are we looking at the wrong
I
one?
don't have, I just have a half day and Columbus Day in October.
No, April.
April.
Oh, April.
Because isn't that the one we're
Right,
removing?
but I wanted to leave that there so you would know where it was. That's the one, they're voting that they,
Oh, we're gonna vote to remove it.
yes.
I
Right, we already
gotcha.
did.
Yes. okay.
We had the discussion because it was part of negotiation. So
Yeah,
now we
I'm-
have to take the vote
Right,
in
I'm with
open
Jen. I
session.
thought we voted on that
I
last
thought
time.
we voted and we were gonna see the updated, corrected calendar, of what
Yeah.
it was supposed to look like, because this is what was gonna be updated and put in the, on the district website, is how I remember it. I'm usually all wet with those things, so, but my understanding, because we had the conversation, we agreed because it was contractual, there's nothing that we could do anyway.
But did we have that in open session or?
Yeah, I
Yep.
don't remember that, so that might have been an
Executive.
executive.
You remember, you don't remember that?
I remember, but I don't think
It was an
open session.
executive.
Was it an
Because it was
executive?
contractual? Right.
Yep.
So now we have to take the vote
Oh,
in,
that seems
in
like
open
forever
session.
ago.
Oh,
It was, and we
okay.
missed it because we neglected to get the calendar on the agenda
Okay.
last time. Right.
See, I'm usually all wet.
No, you're just halfway.
Not that it would have fit the last time.
Well, I'm
anyway.
right there with you.
Yeah.
So. All right, so we're all
Right.
up to date now, we're,
So we're just voting
Okay.
the revised school calendar, which would remove the open house.
I moved that.
in April.
In April.
I'll second.
Okay. So, all those in favor of removing the open house on April 11th, 2019 from the school calendar, please say aye.
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 Okay.
Conferences?
Conferences. So I don't think
Okay.
they should be okay.
Conferences are during the day, right?
They're 6 to 8 at night
Where is that?
on the 30th.
Okay. Do we need to vote on that one too?
Oof.
Because is that a requirement? Because not everyone has to do it, so.
Right. But
It's
it
only,
is,
it's teacher request,
No,
right?
that
Not
is-
the high school
that
only?
is,
That is a good question, though, because it's still an evening.
that is the second
Situation.
evening
Yeah.
for,
Right.
yes, so that has to be voted out as well.
To take out.
Right.
So
So the
what-
11th is the elementary and the 30th is the high school.
So what do we do for second day of conferences for the high school then? Because we have them at the East Meadow in March. There needs to be a second option for high school conferences.
So the March is during the day, so it's half-day release days, correct?
Right,
For
so do we
parent-teacher
adjust that for the
conferences.
high school as well?
No.
So where are the second round of
So the second
conferences for
round
high
of
school?
conferences would be by appointment. So if it's middle school, it would be during the day, during team meetings, or during a teacher's prep, or during a time that they have scheduled in their day.
But
So
there's
it
no
would be,
half
it would
days
be
to
by,
accommodate that.
right, no.
And is the staff, the teachers already aware of this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering how that looks from a parent's point of view. I mean, are you gonna have a blocked period of time where you're gonna tell parents these 3 days, or, I mean, how's that gonna work?
I think we communicate that through the portals, that, you know, if there is concern about your child's performance, that conferences can be scheduled at any time. I mean, one of the discussions is that those are not well attended, and they're not as relevant as if parents have a specific concern that they reach out, and vice versa, teachers are reaching out to parents to share that they have a concern, to arrange a time to have a conference. And that can happen at any time during the school year, and should be happening at any time during
It
the school year.
should be happening and
Right.
can be happening. I'm just wondering if
Yep.
it is happening.
It does, probably not to the degree that we would like to see it, but certainly it happens more as report cards come out and grades close. But we are working with staff to be more proactive, and also with families to use the portals to their advantage. So if they see that their student is not performing, or their grades have slipped for some reason, go ahead and set up that conference. That can happen at any time during the school year. So that we're not waiting until April to have a conference when it's already close to the end
April
of the
is a
quarter.
tough time for a high school conference.
So my
sure.
question on that though is, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, but my fear is that that's not being communicated out wherever it needs to be, and how do we make sure it
Yep.
is?
So we are working with, when parents are calling, when they recognize that their student is not achieving at the levels either that they have been or that they'd like them to be. But we're also working with staff to make that first phone call and reach out as well. Since we've opened the portals, we need to understand that it isn't simply a responsibility of a student or a family to call in if there's a concern, that teachers should be calling out. And so that's a culture that we're trying to create within the district. And that's, we do that through faculty meetings, we do that at hours of power, making that expectation, like we do for leadership, that principals, if we're receiving a phone call from a parent, we respond within 24 hours. That's our expectation of each other. I think sharing that kind of expectation amongst staff is where we're trying to get.
Yeah. And so what was the thinking behind, maybe instead of April, doing it earlier in the year? Maybe, I don't know, February or March, like in
So the
East Meadow.
second night evening has been removed
Right,
contractually.
Right.
So we can't move it.
No,
It's-
I'm not saying move it to evening. Wondering like another block
like
of
to
time.
set a block of
Yeah,
time. It's
just like
certainly
we do
something to
it.
talk with the staff about.
What I'm wondering
Yeah.
is, we have the 3 half-days in March for the middle school. Why, if we've removed the evening option for the high school, and the high school in the fall only had 2 half-days, why wouldn't we do that to at least give the teachers and the parents an opportunity in March to be able to,
Because it was negotiated.
but it's not an evening at that point if it's a half-day. I understand the evening, I get the evening, but are we not having March parent-teacher conferences is that also coming out?
No, that's staying in.
Right, because it's a half-day.
Right.
So what I'm saying is we removed the second opportunity for parent-teacher conferences at the high school level altogether.
Right, because there was no opportunity for half-day conferences at the high school either.
Well, that therein I think lies a problem. You've got to be able to have some time, I think, scheduled for parent-teacher conferences.
Right, so what they're doing is, the middle school is scheduled with team time, and that's the time that teachers should be using to communicate with parents, so that they can schedule conferences, so parents are able to come in and share those concerns, and teachers are able to share their concerns about student achievement or behavior. And similarly at the high school, that second period should be being used to reach out to parents and schedule those conferences. I mean, our expectation is that's not waiting for a certain 3 days, is that it should be happening the minute a student is not, has a change in performance.
Well, that philosophy also applies at East Meadow. And yet we still have the 3 half-days with parent-teacher conferences
I
in
think
March.
the elementary school is a little different in that they're going over more in-depth skills and achievement, what the students are, what their strengths are, to keep parents, I think, in tune with if there's places where they can help, where there's support that maybe they can provide. By the time they're getting to the high school, they're in, multiple classes, seeing multiple staff. So the idea of the conference is a little different.
No, and I understand that.
Yeah.
And I also understand that there seems to be this shift to when students get into high school, 9th grade, that it's parents hands off, and it's almost the message is sent where both ways, it goes back and forth with the staff and with parents that, the kids are doing this on their own, the students are doing this on their own.
Yeah, we're trying to develop some independence.
Right, and at the
Right.
same time, that's when students really can start falling through the cracks. I
Right.
mean, I was a parent of one of them, right? And
Yeah.
there is that tricky balance between empowering your child and also providing the supports that they need early enough to help them be successful. So to take it away, I guess it's just, I mean, it's just a cause for a question. Because it feels like it perpetuates that message of, we're very hands-off. And the expectation is that you're gonna be hands-off too.
Well, it's not the culture we're trying to create,
Yeah, I
so.
know that. I'm just putting my 2 cents in there, that's all. Any other questions or?
Nope. There's really not much we can do, I guess. So we need to I'll make the motion to remove April 30th conferences from 6 to 8 p.m.
I'll second.
Okay, so all in favor of removing what is it again?
The conferences at the high
Yeah,
school.
the conferences on April 30th. Please say aye.
Right.
Aye.
And then when we schedule for next year, we'll have this discussion again about what is an expectation for family engagement and other things that we're doing in the evenings instead.
Yeah, that was actually my other question, because you had mentioned that before, that you are talking about it and you have
Right.
things in mind, so I would be interested in
Yep.
knowing
What's
some
happening.
of those. Yeah, what's
Yep.
happening. All right. So then the next order of new business is policies, section D, E, and F.
Yep. So they are uploaded into your folder. It would be a first read this evening, or over the next couple of weeks. Certainly, if there were any questions, feel free to email me. And then they would go into a vote next meeting.
Okay. Yeah, I started looking through it already, so I do have some questions. Okay, so I guess we can just move on from there, knowing that we have to review those 3 sections. Okay, so then we're going into old business, which is, first order there is school committee goals. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not exactly sure where we landed on this from.
I'm not either, and I hate to do it to table it because I know they're important, but I feel like we need the full committee
I
to
agree.
have that discussion.
I agree.
Especially because Emery had some very strong, not strong, but some great ideas about how we should frame them, and I don't feel like we should be moving forward without him or without Jen either. I don't know. Do we have to vote on that?
Oh, I don't think
No.
we're ready to vote on it.
No, I mean, do we
to
vote
table.
to table
No,
it?
we
We
just
just
table
table it?
Yeah.
Is that dumb?
No.
No, there were some on here that we didn't even finish how we were gonna measure it, the
Right.
timeline, who was gonna take ownership of it. So I kinda thought the same thing, and then, when Jen couldn't make it tonight, it seems to make sense if we table it. Mike, what do you think?
I agree.
All right, so maybe we can put that on the next agenda again.
We'll try to have better attendance.
It happens.
Yeah.
Business and family, not much you can do.
Nope, not at all. All right, so then we're back to policy, section A, B, and C.
So
Yes.
my concerns there are very similar to what we just had. I mean, I think we're supposed to vote those in. And do we want to vote those without having the full committee and like him? So I guess I'll make sure Emery doesn't have
Yeah.
an opportunity to
Right,
weigh
if
in on
there's any
something.
questions. There's certainly no rush. We can certainly have the discussion on A through F.
Next meeting.
Next meeting on the 19th.
I did have a couple of questions that I suppose I could throw out there now. Well, I didn't have anything on policy C or A, but on B, and of course I can't pull them up now. I don't know where it is.
The
It's
19th, under November 19th.
okay. My computer at home,
Oh, hey, slow down.
is a Mac, and
Yes.
it's set up so differently.
You're one of those.
Yeah, well, not really, but I'm not anything here when it comes to computers, so. 19th you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Down at the bottom.
I have it up. Do you want to just look?
Yeah. So it was in section BA, up a little ways there.
Right at the beginning.
Yeah, that was one of them.
Is it big enough?
Yeah, I wrote down, we had in there stated periodically reviewing school committee goals. And I think there was another section where it said periodically, and I was just wondering if we should be stating yearly instead of periodically, because we do review yearly.
Do we need to review yearly?
Yeah, we do. We need to at least review, even if we vote in, you know,
Right.
we need to look at them yearly, just to see where we're at. And actually, we talked about doing it midway through, that it shouldn't be something we're just
Right.
doing once a year.
We just copied and pasted from like we took all the, whatever, is it,
MASC.
Yeah.
MASC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was, because I know that we wanted to be consistent in our language.
Mm-hmm. Where is that you see? Well, I think it's probably an idea to bring up when we're all together.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and you had some highlighted green sections?
Yes, I still have to check the charter
Okay.
for length of term.
Okay. And I think you mentioned last time that these sections were reviewed by our attorney?
Yes.
So we're all set there?
Yes.
Okay. And that was it for me.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen.
Anytime. So we'll just come back at the next meeting and we'll be able to vote or review the whole A through F,
Yeah.
right? Am I understanding that the right way?
Yes.
Okay.
Oops.
Okay, so then the next section, next order of old business is enrollment updates.
So I have in your folder the enrollment update. There is no change. It is the monthly enrollment sheet. So this is what you will be getting now moving forward, which is the total. And because there was no change, I didn't do the detail report. But that was in last month's.
Okay.
Okay?
Oh, in the detail meaning the narrative.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right, because
Gotcha.
if there's no change, then it's
Right,
exactly the same.
yeah. And not that it's a huge step, but it's sort of like why,
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be.
So we actually picked up a 12th grader from November to December. Because, am I reading this correctly? Grade 12, we went from 48 to 49.
Yep.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yep. So let me just grab the detail.
Got good eyes. I looked at it and saw 48s all the way.
No, I apologize. I thought I had a conversation that there was no change. So let me just back up a second. It could have, I'm not even gonna guess. This is a new process for us, so we are going to get our feet wet with it. I will have to find out about the 12th grader because I'm not seeing that in the detail. So I will
And so,
ask about that.
yeah, I was just curious about it. I
Yeah.
just thought that was it was an outlier. That's
Right.
why I was questioning it. And East Meadow, so no changes from November 5th, November 16th to December 3rd, and that's the reason why you have the same numbers in there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody want to add anything, or? So when you say next time you add the narrative, is it once a month we're gonna
Yeah,
have the
so
okay.
our goal is for the first meeting of the month
Okay.
is to always have the update. So the total, by grade, and then if there's a change in the detail.
Okay. Very good.
Yeah.
Okay. Upcoming business, we don't have anything in there, but we know it's gonna be school committee goals and sections A, B, and C. I'm being a very, very unsuccessful vice chair here tonight, because we're tabling two of the meatiest.
Well, we can't, I mean, we could certainly vote on it, but it would
Yeah.
probably come back anyway, because there's gonna be, I feel like there's bound to be questions.
Yes,
so-
I agree. And I don't really feel like I'm in a position as a member to
And there's so
do it
much,
without a full committee.
and there's so much left that we wanted to talk about and finish
know.
with the goals, that it seems silly to be, even attempt the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, we could
agree.
certainly attempt, but, and have it in the minutes to go back and review, but it just seems like essentially a waste of time, because we're gonna do it, all the work again.
All right, so I guess we're on to reports, standing reports, correct?
Yes. I do not have a standing superintendent's report for tonight, given that our last meeting was a marathon, although lots of great things happening in the district as always. Obviously, tonight was a big celebration for us with the John and Abigail scholarship award recipients. As you heard, our student rep, Cotillion, was a huge success. And I'm very pleased that we are going to be moving forward with the focus survey and the focus groups with students and staff. I'm very excited. One of the things that the student rep was talking about was how in other districts, sometimes there's not support to get feedback, but feedback is a huge part of our mission and vision and part of our strategic plan. So receiving feedback can be difficult at times, but it's something that we're going to model for the students, and so that we're going to grow together. So I'm excited about that.
And the NHS?
Yes, we had our NHS induction with 19 students being inducted and 10 students remaining. So also very excited about that.
That is exciting.
Yep.
Okay. So that would be you. You're up next.
Yes. Actually, I don't have anything on 18, 19, or Chartwells, but I do have something on FY20. Actually, myself, Mike, and Emery met on Friday to kick off our FY20 budget building. It was our first subcommittee meeting. It was pretty general. We reviewed our budget calendar and timeline, which takes us actually from last Friday all the way out until May for when the select board approves our budget. And we talked about a few priorities that the school committee might like to see in this year's budget. But again, Friday was the first one.
When you say this year, you mean 2020?
2020, yes,
Okay.
sorry, for 2020. So Friday was the first one. This week I'm working on creating templates to get out to the principals so they can start getting their requests in for FY20, and we'll be moving forward. So we're a couple weeks away from being in the thick of building the FY20 budget, so
Okay.
yes.
And when you say nothing on FY18 and 19?
So, I mean, I've been having discussions with Emery. We've actually been having a few email exchanges tonight on 18 and 19, so we can table that till next time. And my plan was anyway to talk about budget-related stuff in the second meeting of the month for school committee. But yes, there is some updates on 18 and 19, but we'll wait for the full committee to reconvene and review.
All right.
And when we reworked the agenda, we had actually taken the business office facilities report, those items underneath out.
Yep.
And we're going to talk at the budget subcommittee and also hear about, there isn't always information for each of those, but Emery felt we should leave them in so that if there was a question, it was there. So, to Adam's point, we won't always have a formal report, certainly not the first of the month, but the second meeting of the month is when we would anticipate having that formal report.
Okay, very good. Anybody have anything to add, questions? So then we're on to the collaborative.
We haven't met.
No meetings?
No, we won't meet until January at this point.
Okay. And so, I don't think there's been anything on the West Street building. I know that's Emery's thing, but Joe's on the committee, and I don't think there's been a meeting.
Nope.
Okay, so,
No, we're still just going through the punch list at the school. We're learning the systems, they're all new, they're all pretty intricate. So really learning to manage those and some of the alarm systems and, really wrapping our heads around all of that. With support, which is nice, because they're still helping us with all of that.
Yeah, they've been
Phenomenal.
great, yeah, they've been great.
and they give us a year, right? Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So then moving on to policy subcommittee.
We haven't met, but we're up to date with
Great.
where we're at because we're waiting for some additional information, right?
Right, the only policy we have left is J, and it's a big one. So we did take a little bit of a breather.
We figured, when we had our last meeting,
Yeah.
we had talked about it, we were gonna get all of these other ones approved
Right.
and come back.
And J was updated in 2016, so it isn't as out of date as some of the other policies.
And what's policy J?
Student,
Oh,
so
Okay.
it's the big one.
all right. All right. Then we have the budget subcommittee.
Yeah, I think, so we met, and I think you went over most of it. But I think a couple key things were we're looking to give the select board and the finance committee some sort of a first look, I think the end of January, early February, rather than getting out into April and May like we normally are. So I think this year we're hoping to be like 6 or 7 weeks ahead of schedule in that regard. So I think that'll help and go a long way.
And what will that look like? A meeting with the chair of the finance committee and the chair of the select board and,
Yeah, it could look really however we would like it to look. Mike, thank you for bringing that up. That's the real goal this year for the subcommittee and this budget process is to be as transparent as possible, while keeping the finance board and the select board kind of up to date on everything while we're doing it, so it doesn't come to April or May, and we're saying, okay, here's our budget. How those how those meetings look, I'm not sure. We'll kind of work that out with Emery, but it would be probably full committee or maybe the subcommittee with them and kind of just kind of giving them our thought process on why we have some things, where they came from and more of the why as to what we're asking for, where I don't think we've really given that in the past. So it's a big task this year, but I feel like we owe that to ourselves, the district, to the town, and to select board and finance board to let them know, where we're coming from and why we need certain things that we need. So with that being said, subcommittees are subject to open meeting law, so public is invited to attend subcommittees. So if anybody in the community has any questions, suggestions, anything regarding the FY20 budget, the agendas will be posted within 24 hours in advance, like a school committee. And they will also, if there's any public participants, they will have some time to speak on suggestions, relatively anything they'd like regarding the budget. So I just want to throw that out there. I would honestly encourage it. We would encourage it because we want to hear what's going on out there. We want to hear what people haven't liked in the past, have liked in the past, how they would like to see things moving forward. So I just want to let everyone know that it is a public meeting and they are more than welcome to attend and hear what we have to talk about.
yeah, just, go ahead, Mike.
So I was just going to say, I think the whys are probably the biggest thing we're trying to accomplish this year. And I think once we get that done this year, then if we keep the template, then in the future years, it's a lot easier to get through the process and a lot easier for people to understand what we're doing and why.
Yeah, it seems as though maybe it would be easiest in the very beginning to have, like the chairs as opposed to full committees, because you're dealing with everybody's schedules and,
Yeah.
And it just gets to a lengthy conversation if
exactly.
everyone's at the table.
Exactly.
Hence, part of the reason why we have a subcommittee, so it's kind of their job, Mike and Emery's job, to kind of fill you guys in on what
Right,
we're talking about. Not that obviously your ideas aren't great, but to have everyone at the table at one time, kind of voicing their opinions and stuff could get rather timely.
Unwieldy.
So,
Well, and we
again-
get into that later in
Yes,
the budget
exactly.
process.
yeah.
At our 11
yes,
11
yes.
PM
And those
meetings
meetings
that
are
are
gonna be
coming.
longer anyway, so.
Can we bring pizza to those?
We can.
Yeah, we could, why not?
We like food.
We love food. Yes.
I like food. I shouldn't speak for the committee.
I think it changes the atmosphere a little too, you know, it makes it more collegial and, I don't know.
So, next time, I actually just updated the budget calendar today. I sent it out to Mike and Emery. So, I'll talk with the two of them and maybe it's something we'll want to include on our next agenda for the full committee. And if anybody has any, suggestions, again, I keep harping on the fact that it's a kind of a moving target. It's what I did was kind of look at where we got our budget voted last year in May and kind of work backwards. But it's kind of a moving target. So there's dates on there, but don't hold us to those dates is kind of what I urge people. But it just gives us a focal point and a goal as to, okay, we need to be here at this, certain point in time. So we can certainly share that at the next meeting.
Yeah, I do, yeah. So, again, like you, I look at anything past January, and it's kind of like a.
Yeah, it's I mean,
maybe,
I
but there's
put
some
dates on
things-
there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's gonna happen on that date, so, yeah, that's a good point.
Except there are some themes that I'd like to stick with, and that's getting in front of the finance committee
Yep.
and, the select board
Yep.
within this time range, and then back again within this time range, so that by mid-April, we're engaging the public with the, our standard meetings, and
Yep.
we've already circulated everything a number of times.
And we're gonna, Mike, again, thank you for the reminder, we're gonna actually offer, at least 2, possibly 3 public hearings this year, and they're gonna be, as of now on the calendar, prior to a school committee meeting, where the public can come and kind of question us on the budget, again, suggestions on the budget, but it's just something that, again, more transparency and kind of really hearing from the community as to what they want to see their schools look like. So we will have 2, possibly 3, depending on how the whole process goes, but definitely 2, and there aren't until February and March maybe, or March and April, I believe, so.
But these are typically the ones we do mid to late April, I think, right before we vote them.
Yeah.
But I think we're trying to do them earlier this year.
When we share the calendar next meeting, we can get into a little more in-depth conversation as to what some of the meetings are and our purpose, but, in summary, it was a really good meeting for the first one on Friday. I think we had a really, really good dialogue as to where, we want to be for FY20, so.
So then the plan is to bring at least the timeline to the full committee at the next meeting?
Yeah, not so much for an approval, just more
Just for
for.
FYI.
Yeah, just more at FYI, and
Okay.
again, if you guys want to add or subtract, then we can do it in the subcommittee. But it's just pretty much an FYI, take a look at it, and if you have some suggestions or anything, then we can certainly
Yeah,
make some changes to it.
I think that's a good idea. The sooner bringing it to us
Yeah,
too, the better to just. Okay. All right, so then the community relations?
We haven't met yet, but I'll reach out to Jen. After our last conversation about everything, she and I need to kind of regroup and figure out how we want to move forward.
Okay, all righty. So that, I think, is everything on the meeting agenda.
I did have
And-
one
You did have one, okay.
thing that wasn't on the agenda, I'm sorry, but it was the pancake breakfast, or the pancake supper from the PTO this past Friday. They did, they had anticipated, I think, it was just under 200 people showed up
Wow,
with Santa,
that's a good turnout.
Awesome.
yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's a great turnout.
So we were in the back cooking pancakes.
Awesome. That's a lot of pancakes.
It was, yeah.
Oh, man. All right. So then I guess we're gonna adjourn the public portion of the meeting, and we do have an executive session?
We're gonna roll call vote to enter executive session.
Okay, so then I'm just basically reading this part here. So we're gonna roll call vote to enter into executive session under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Part A3, to discuss strategy with regard to collective bargaining, as doing so in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the committee. The committee will not return to open session. Okay, so can Ms. Kathy do the roll call?
I'll do it.
Okay.
Deanna Payne Mikowski,
Aye.
Jennifer Bartos,
Aye.
Mike Simpson.
Right?
Okay, so thanks, everyone.